Hey hun, I'm Chloe and this is the ballerina or baby ballerina tutorial. My mission is to share my passion for pole dancing and make pole dancing easy to learn and accessible. This is the 45th video of the beginner pole trick tutorial series. In order to maximize your training out of all the videos, I highly recommend you to start from the very first video of this playlist, as the tricks will be a progression of the video before. The ballerina or the baby ballerina is such a pretty trick. The prerequisite for this one is backspin, so make sure that you watch that tutorial before you attempt this one. This video is mirrored for your ease of learning. I'll also have a red wristband on my right wrist and my right ankle to indicate the right side of my body if you do get confused of the directions. This trick tutorial is created for you for information and educational purposes only, and for you to enjoy learning pole dancing from the comfort of your own home. Please participate at your own risk and don't work beyond your capability, and seek help or spotting when necessary. For any health concerns, please make sure you seek professional medical advice. Please also make sure you warm up your body before you start this video. I'll also have a warm-up playlist depending on your level under the playlist warm-up so that you can try it before you do the tricks. If you enjoy this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up so that I know to create more of these kinds of videos, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet so that you are notified every single time I upload a video. If you are looking to further your pole journey and combining tricks and dance together, then consider learning on my online learning platform, Pole Art Bowl, where we put tricks and dance together into a combo and learning an entire routine with combos and dance together. You can find the link in the description below for further information. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into the ballerina or the baby ballerina tutorial. Alrighty, so let's get into our conditioning. For our conditioning today, we have two conditioning to do. We're gonna start off with our first one, which is our twisty grip shoulder shrugs. So, we've done this one in our backspin tutorial. So again, if you haven't watched that one, make sure you watch that one. So, we're gonna start off with standing nice and tall. From here, you're gonna bring your hands so that you are hands shoulder width apart, at shoulder height, thumb facing up. Now from here, you're gonna turn your palm away so that your pinky is facing up into the ceiling, and then we're gonna start bringing it up. Now once you bring it up, try to make sure that your pinkies are starting to face towards you now, and then you're gonna start shrugging your shoulder down. Now when you're shrugging your shoulder down, you wanna make sure that you pull your lats down from all the way here. So making sure that your lats are moving. So give your hands a little sort of like tap in your lats, maybe push into it, making sure that your lats are activated. All right, so let's do 10 shoulder shrugs. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Well done. That is your first conditioning done. Now, let's get into our next conditioning. We're just gonna work on our shoulder and upper back and lower back range, because you're gonna need this one a lot for this particular trick, especially because it is quite shoulder heavy and back heavy. So, we are going to start doing our back arches in a standing position. So what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna stand this way so that you can have a look. Sorry, my cats are quite active right now. So legs a little further than the shoulder width apart so that you can balance yourself, and standing nice and tall. Now from here, if you especially have a tendency to arch your back, stick your booty out, think about thrusting your hip forward and then just pushing your hips forward. Now from here, you're gonna bring your hand nice and tall, and then you're gonna start leaning backwards. Now when you're leaning backwards, again, make sure that you lead from your hip and also bringing your shoulder back. Now, if you're able to thrust your hip forward and lead from your shoulder, you should start to feel a lot of the stretch all the way from your shoulder, all the way to your lower back. Again, if you feel it only in your lower back or only in your shoulder, it might be because you're not thrusting your hip forward enough, or you're not bringing your shoulder back enough. So making sure that you work on that full range. All right, so let's try holding our end range for 3 seconds and then coming back. We've got 5 rounds. Start thrusting from your hip, hands above, lead from your shoulder, and thrust your hip forward, lead back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back up. Back to neutral, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Control it back. Good, and 3 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful, 2 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, last one. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Control it back. Well done. Now there is your conditioning, both done. Alrighty, now let's get into our ballerina or baby ballerina. Now, before we start coming into a tutorial, I just want to make clear what our prerequisites are for this particular trick. So, you will have to make sure that you would have finished your backspin tutorial. So make sure if you haven't watched that one, that you do your backspin tutorial. And the second prerequisite one is making sure that you have the shoulder range for this one. Now, for your ballerina, it is very shoulder heavy because we're coming into a twisty grip, and you're also gonna get your bum around the pole, meaning you're going to need the overhead shoulder range necessary for this one. So let's just do a little test for this. So you're gonna stand nice and tall, and then you're gonna face to your side. Now from here, you're gonna raise your arm until making sure that your hands are able to come up right next to your ear. Now, if you don't have this shoulder range, this trick might be tricky for you. You can give it a go, but again, make sure that you're very cautious with this one before you try this. Again, if you need to work on your shoulder or overhead mobility, then please make sure that you warm up before, like a lot of warm up before. And also you can alternatively watch the warm up or stretch tutorial I have for beginners. It's only 15 minutes, and that's gonna also help you with a lot of the back range or shoulder range that you need. Now, we will go through some stretches through the tips and common mistakes as well, but make sure that you stretch before, if you really, especially if you have tight shoulders, that you watch that one. Okay, now with the ballerina, you can either do this on spin or static as well, but I find spin way easier for this one. If you want to try this from the floor initially, then you can try this on static, but I definitely recommend spin. Now we're gonna have 6 leg variations for this today, which is very, very exciting. A lot of different leg variations. So this is what a ballerina or baby ballerina, 6 different leg variations look like. First leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, fifth leg, and sixth leg. Alrighty. Now, geez, that was a long spin. I'm feeling a bit dizzy right now. So let's break down our ballerina. Now, with a ballerina, again, if you need to test your shoulder mobility, just try this from the floor. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start coming into our back spin. Now, once we come into a back spin, from there, you're going to swing your inside leg around the pole, making sure that your shelf is on the pole. Now from there, making sure that your bum is behind the pole as well, so that you can get right into that shelf. You're gonna bring your inside leg around, and then you're gonna hook the back of your calf onto the pole so that your knee is bent. And then there is your ballerina. Now, again, making sure that with our first leg variation, you are kicking your leg backwards. Now, second leg variation, all you're gonna do is just bend your knee from there. Your ankle's still off the pole. Third variation is your leg forward in front of the pole, but straightening it. And then from there, you're just gonna bend your knee in so that your ankle is on your calf, and then there is your fourth leg variation. Fifth one is leg behind and straight. And then sixth one is bent behind. So pretty much what we're doing is straight, bend, straight, bend, straight, bend with 6 leg variations. One leg straight off the pole, bend off the pole, straight forward, bend forward, straighten behind, and bend behind. Ow, jeez. Okay, so let's try this on the pole. So coming into a twisty grip, bottom hand pistol grip, swinging your outside leg forward, kicking it back into your back spin. Legs together, swinging your inside leg around, hooking it on the back of your calf, and then you're taking your inside and off if you can. Otherwise, you can keep it on. Bending it back. Straightening it forward so that your knee and your calf meet. You're gonna bend it in so that your ankle is on the pole. From there, you're gonna swing it back into your straight leg. And then you can also bend it backwards so that your ankle is behind the pole. To come out, you're gonna step in with your inside leg, and then you're gonna step out. Well done. Alrighty, let's try it on the other side. So we're gonna come into our back spin. Legs together, swinging your inside leg around. Kick it back, bend it, straighten it forward. Bend it in, straighten back, and then bend it in behind. To come out, step out. Well done. There is your ballerina or baby ballerina 6 leg variations. Alrighty, now let's go through some tips and common mistakes. Common mistake number 1 is your body placement once you come into ballerina. So we have covered this in our back spin, but this time around, our shelf grip is even more important in our ballerina. Again, if you haven't watched the back spin tutorial, make sure you watch it before you attempt this tutorial. So once we come into a back spin, you want to make sure that your inside shelf is on the pole, and then you're pushing your bum past the pole behind. That way, once you try to hook your inside leg around, things are much easier. Now, let's say for example, if we don't do that and then we try to get our leg behind, so our shelf is away, whatnot, this is gonna be really hard to hook your inside leg onto the pole. So make sure that you stick your bum out and then hooking your inside ankle or the back of your calf almost on the pole. And that's gonna help you a lot getting into the right position. Now, other thing you wanna be aware when you're coming into a ballerina is rather than hooking onto your ankle, try hooking onto almost the back of your calf. So right in this spot. That way you get more grip. It's also less painful than hooking onto your ankle as well. And then once you can hook onto your calf, you can actually bring your inside leg a little higher, and that's gonna help it make it look much nicer in terms of shape, and also to be able to hold that position much better as well. So let's just talk grip, because with our ballerina, we need our shelf grip, but we also need our back of our arm, or I should say, right where our shoulder blade is, and also our inner thigh, and then the back of a calf. Now, depending on your flexibility, you might not be able to get into almost your back. So if I face it this way, you can see that the pole hits my back. So the center part, it almost goes through in between my shoulder blades and then into my back. That is the optimal grip so that you can get into all sorts of different positions leading into the next trick, which is our full sort of ballerina. However, if you're still working on your shoulder mobility, of course, you might get into almost the back of your shoulder, so right here. And that's fine for now, but again, you want to work on your mobility a bit more if you want to progress into doing your full ballerina. Now, in terms of grip, again, making sure that you have ample grip for your body and your hands as well. All the products that I use are linked in the description below. I'm not sponsored for any of the products, but these are just for your own benefit. So if you have dry skin, making sure that you get a bit of moisture on your skin. And then if you have oily skin or sweaty skin, that you use something that's a bit more drying for the parts of your body that you need to. Now, other thing I want to mention is your shoulder mobility, as we talked about earlier. Now, if you're still working on your shoulder mobility, of course, totally fine. I'm just going to give you a few stretches that you can do, 2 of them today. So one is your downward dog. So you're gonna come onto your fours, and then from there, you're gonna prop your legs up onto the floor. Now from here, you're gonna bring your hands a little forward and then threading your head through the gap between both of your hands. Now, if this is too much for your hamstring, you can just bend your knees, just as long as you're pushing your temple down into the floor, really working on that shoulder. So make sure you keep your arms straight, nice and straight, about shoulder width apart, and then pushing your temple down into the floor. And that's gonna help you work on that shoulder mobility. Now, other thing you can do is what I call a praying pose. So you're gonna come onto your knees, and then from there, you're gonna come onto your forearms. Now, once you come onto your forearm, you're gonna get your elbow onto the floor and then interlocking your fingers as if we're praying. Now, from here, if you don't feel too much once you push your chest down into the floor, in your shoulder and then in your upper back, then bringing your elbow a little further away and then push your chest and armpit down into the floor. And that's gonna work on your shoulder and your upper back. Now again, if you don't feel this in your upper back yet, bring your elbow a little further away and push your chest down into the floor until you feel it in your shoulder and your upper back. Now, other thing, if you feel that in your lower back, then that means that your elbows are probably too far away from you. So make sure you inch your elbows a little closer to your knee so that you can feel it in your shoulder and then in your upper back. Again, those are the parts that you want to feel it, so make sure that you feel it in the spots that I mentioned. And that's going to help you open up your shoulders and your upper back as well. Now, other thing I want to talk about is our hand placement for our ballerina, because this is quite crucial. If your hand is not in the right position, you're going to end up squeezing your hand with your leg, and you don't want that. Now again, once you come into our backspin position, you want to make sure that you push your bum back and then hook your knee nice and high, and then bring your knee a little further away so that you don't sandwich your hand. So in order to get into the right position, you might want to do this from the floor a few times so that you get a grasp of where your hand and leg positioning is. So again, make sure that you don't end up squeezing your hands. In order to do that, just bring your knee a little higher and then face it a little further out. And that's gonna help you get into the right position. Now, other thing is when you're pushing into your hand, you wanna make sure that your wrist is facing towards you, again, or else you're gonna overwrap your hand with your leg. So say, for example, if my wrist this way is facing towards me, then you can see that I'm gonna end up squeezing with my leg. So if your wrist is facing forward this way, then you can see that I'm not gonna be sandwiching my leg onto the hand. So making sure that you keep that neutral wrist is gonna be very crucial for the ballerina. Now let's also talk about hand movement and head movement, because that's gonna help you elevate the ballerina to the next level and make it look really nice. Now, once you come into the ballerina, rather than keeping your head still as such, you wanna look over your inside shoulder, so towards the floor, or you can also look up towards the top of the pole. And that's gonna help you elevate your shape and then make it look really nice. Now, other thing I wanna talk about is your hand movement. Now, worst case scenario, if you feel like your hand does really weird things, you can just keep your hand on the pole. Totally fine. I think it looks quite nice as well. But if you wanna elevate your hand movement and make it not look like a traffic controller, very rigid fingers, is to make sure that you create a lopsided ear fox with your fingers. So think about almost sandwiching your middle finger, ring finger, and then your thumb together, but not too close. So a little gap between, about 1 centimeter. And then your index finger pointing up, and then your pinky pointing slightly down. And there you have it. There is your little pretty hands that you can use when you're coming into a ballerina. And again, make sure that you're gentle with your wrist and your elbow as well. If you are kind of straight, then that's not gonna make it look nice. So make sure that you're gentle, use your shoulders. Remember that your arm is an extension from your shoulder and your chest as well. So once you come in position, whatever leg variation you wanna do, that you're using your fingertips, you can bring it in, slide towards your chest, and then you can reach it out. You can do whatever you want with your hands. As long as you move it, it looks pretty. So make sure that you're conscious with your head movement and hand movement. And that is all the tricks and common mistakes I wanted to go through. Alrighty, before I let you go, a little mindset tip for you today. Since we're on the topic of working on shoulder mobility and just mobility in general, let's just talk mobility and how to train them, and also talking anatomy as well. Now, it is very common initially when you're working on some tricks that you might not have the mobility or strength to be able to do it. And that is very, very normal. Now, everyone has strengths and nemesis, and for me, my nemesis has always been strength. Now, initially when I started pole, I felt like my flexibility was on the better side because I have a background in figure skating, but my strength was absolutely terrible and my hand grips are absolutely terrible too. So you're always gonna have things that you're better at, maybe not so better at. And again, embracing that is gonna be super important in your pole journey. Now, anything what you do is, I don't think is impossible. You can work on your strengths and also your nemesis, and then keep working to better your pole journey. So if you feel like you're not getting the mobility right now, don't feel discouraged. Make sure that you work on them, and then once you start getting your mobility, and I'm sure that you are able to achieve the tricks that you really want to, and especially with the ballerina as well. So keep working on them. Make sure you stretch every day, or even I'd say every second day. That's gonna help you a lot. Foam roll as well. If you have really tight shoulders or tight back, not just stretching, but foam rolling is gonna help you a lot in the long run. So make sure you work on them and keep practicing, and you will get there. Thank you so much for joining me in the ballerina or baby ballerina tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the very next tutorial. Bye. Let us get into our, now let me grip up first. Oh, I feel sick. Jeez, too much spin.